Welcome back to Ashton here. So, great qualifying, Monaco Grand Prix qualifying finished. I thought it was an excellent session, really exciting all the way through. And, I think, it already makes up for tomorrow because we know tomorrow is going to be a snooze fest. Let's get started right away. So, Q1 cars were coming up right at the end of the pit lane to start. A lot of cars, are going to want to set a banker lap right away because of the high risk of having issues like crashes, yellow flags and red flags through the session. After the first runs, Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Stroll were the fastest, and there was only 0.14 seconds that covered the top four. So it looked like it was really close between the Red Bulls and the Aston Martin, which turned out to be the case later on. Sargent, Gasly, Albon, Tsunoda, and Sainz were the bottom five at this point. And then first big incident of the session, Perez brings out the red flag at turn 1. He basically just got a snap over, so he went a bit too fast into turn 1, and he basically just goes right into the barriers and he's out of qualifying. So he will start 20th, assuming nothing else happens from some of the other incidents that happened, but he will start 20th. So that's a massive disappointment for Perez. That's a massive blow to his championship aspirations as well, given how hard it is to overtake at Monaco. But that being said, for us fans, it will give us something exciting to watch, seeing how far up the field he can pull himself. He also damaged the Tech Pro barrier as well, so it was quite a long delay to get the barrier fixed. Let's see, so Ferrari wanted to get their cars switched around, so when the red flag finished, Sainz was ahead of Leclerc and the team was on the radio saying, oh, we want to get the drivers switched around, so I'm not sure what that was about, given how there's not much benefit of a tow. And really the best thing that you can do for preparation around Monaco is just to have like a good amount of space in front of you. Albon went top, showing how strong the track evolution is and how small the gaps are between the teams this year at Monaco. And I think I was saying that I thought that the order that the cars go in, I thought might have an impact on who is able to get pole at the end. And I think it's possible that was the case. With 5 minutes left, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Perez, Sargent, Zhou were the bottom 5. Tsunoda goes top, so the commentators were really excited about that. Ferrari moment of qualifying, the Ferraris managed to block each other during Leclerc's fast lap in Q1. Hamilton cut the chicane, so he had to board his lap, so he was really close to being on the danger zone for Q1. Zhou was out, and your bottom 5 after Q1 were Perez, Zhou, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, and Sargent. And there's only about 1.2 seconds covering the whole field if you discount Perez. So that's extremely close, really good to see. Shows how the new regulations are working for this year. Let's see, so top 5, just out of curiosity, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Albon, Sainz, and Stroll. Q2, Hamilton, Albon, Stroll, De Vries, Tsunoda were the bottom 5 after the first runs. Many drivers doing 2 fast laps with each set, showing how durable this year's tires are, which isn't a great sign for tomorrow's race, given that it's basically just going to be a very easy one stop. And if there's any kind of safety car or anything basically anywhere in the race, I think cars will take the opportunity to pit, even if it's like lap 5, for example. Let's see, so Tsunoda has a really bad lockup, goes back to the pits. Ocon clips the barriers at turn 1, but no apparent damage. Hamilton was complaining about he was complaining about the right rear suspension. Not sure what that was about. Norris hits the wall pretty hard at Tabac, and it turns out that before Tabac at the Nouvelle chicane, he basically clipped the barrier on the exit of the chicane, causing some suspension damage, which meant he basically just understeered, trying to do Tabac. He goes to the pits right away, so I thought it was going to be very tight to get that fixed for Q3 if he made it. And then Stroll was noted for failing to stop for weight bridge. So basically, if this is the case, if he basically failed to stop for the weight bridge and the team didn't push him back to the weight bridge before he got to the garage, I think that may be a disqualification for Stroll. So that's really tough for him. But of course it's his fault because you have to be aware of when you're called into the weight bridge. So after Q2, Bottas, Stroll, so I don't know if there was other issues hampering him or what was going on there. Albon, De Vries, and Piastri were out in Q2. So going into Q3, Verstappen doing the same strategy that he did in Q2. he wanted to be the first car to go out at the start of the session, so he really wanted to make sure that he got a lap to avoid a repeat of last year where basically he was behind and a bunch of cars had some issues and he could not set a lap time. So he goes out first again. Some drivers were going on used tires because they'd used too many tires through the session. Alonso was ahead of Verstappen after the first runs by 0.4 seconds, so a really, really amazing run by Alonso. Leclerc was second behind Alonso, then Sainz pipped him to second. And at this point, I think Russell or Hamilton was up there as well. So then at this point, Verstappen was basically fifth with only in the last 5 minutes. And then Verstappen went to the fastest by 0.05 seconds. Hamilton goes third. And then Ocon of all drivers, I don't think we've ever been talking about the Alpines being in the fight for pole, but here we were. Ocon went fastest with a minute left. So it was very, very close to the end. Then Leclerc was top with a minute left. Alonso went top again by 0.02 seconds with just shy of a minute. And then Verstappen to break everyone's hearts, I think most neutral fans' hearts anyway, went fastest by 0.084 seconds right on the line. Was the last driver to get a clean lap, and so I think that may have had an impact. It may have contributed to him getting pole position. So I think honestly it was a really fantastic session, really topsy-turvy. You didn't really know who was going to qualify where. And because the track evolution was continuing to get faster and faster throughout the session, I think it was great to see that the fastest times were constantly dropping, which I think it was great to see. Really great session. I think probably my favorite qualifying session of this year, of course, which is magnified by the fact that qualifying is so important in Monaco. So let's go over the grid for tomorrow's race. First Verstappen, second Alonso, third Leclerc, fourth Ocon. Still a fantastic job by Ocon. Fifth Sainz, sixth Hamilton, seventh Gasly, eighth Russell, ninth Tsunoda. Fantastic job for him in the AlphaTauri. 10th Norris, 11th Piastri, 12th De Vries, 13th Albon, 14th Stroll, 15th Bottas, 16th Sargent, 17th Magnussen, 18th Hulkenberg, 19th Zhou, and 20th Perez. So I think some standout drivers from that were probably going to be Tsunoda. Of course, he's been standout in almost every driver. Although that being said, I should mention that the rookies looked really good. Usually Monaco is a track which is really, really hard for rookies to do well at. And the fact that the lowest ranked rookie was 16th and De Vries where was De Vries? De Vries was 12th and Piastri 11th. That's really, really good showing for the rookies. Usually much better than usual, I would say. But that being said, I think Verstappen has an excellent chance of the win. He has the fastest car in the race, which means that if he can build enough of a gap, it means that he can really dictate strategy and not have to worry about being overcut or undercut too much. Of course, a safety car can completely change that, and I think the forecast is still of a bit of an unknown tomorrow. But of course, Verstappen and rain is a pretty lethal combo. So I think Verstappen looks to be in really good shape for the win, though. That being said, so that's all for the qualifying. I thought it was an excellent session, as I said before. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, even if the actual on-track racing isn't really good. The atmosphere is great, and the strategy I think will also be really interesting. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Goodbye.